everyone, and welcome back to another episode of I Talk to Notebooks. I'm Sarah, and today I'm going to be talking about this journal here, journal number 3, and I'm doing a flip through of it. I've taken into consideration all feedback I've received, which was one comment telling me to try to use post-it notes a little bit more liberally so I can show more of my pages. I took that advice to heart, and I will be doing that at this point, but there may be some sections that I'll have to summarize, but I'm going to try to do it a little bit more interactively this time, instead of just showing some B-roll footage of a fire. So here we go. This journal is actually from August 14th, 2009 to May 22nd, 2010. Up here you can see the date range. I was 12 and 13 in those years, so this would be 8th grade. Actually 7th and 8th grade. Oh yes. Or 6th and 7th, maybe. I don't know, 7th grade, let's go with that. I know that I talk about my coursework in 7th grade a lot. This one I've named Volume 3, The Poison Apple, because this journal is probably the most negative journal I have. I was a bit of a late bloomer, puberty was hitting around this time, and if I had something positive, I would share it with the people around me, but I had a lot of negativity that I didn't have any outlet for, so it all went into this journal. But try to look back with kindness. Good thing I was processing it healthfully in a journal instead of taking it out on everybody around me. So I'm going to count that as a positive. And I took it to camp. You guys know what this means by now. You should know. So let's get started. Let's open this puppy up. So I had a picture of my best friend in here. Couldn't show that for obvious reasons, or her name. But it was the homeschool equivalent of a school picture that I had pasted in there. And this is a cat that looks like a cat that I had a dream about, so I felt the need to include that in here. And I was talking about where I got the notebook from, and it was from my dad's former co-worker's daughter. They came to visit from the Netherlands, where they live, and they brought me this notebook and a pen shaped like a tulip. And I wanted to get some frogs that I saw in the Hallmark store. That's something that I'm going to be talking about a lot. That and how much I wanted a dog. This is the beginning of the dog era. For about 2 years, I was so obsessed with dogs and wanting a dog that it was frightening. And then I went back to being a cat person as I was before. And to this day, I'm still a cat person. Don't come for me. Team cat is underrepresented, so I'm not ashamed of being team cat. So anyway, I didn't have a very good day. Wanted my frogs, blah, blah, blah. Then I got the frogs that the Hallmark store was selling. I repeat, it was the Hallmark store was selling live animals. Why? I don't know. Should they have been? Probably not. And those frogs, though, lived for about twice as long as the expected lifespan, which I don't remember how long they lived or how long the expected lifespan was, but I remember at the time I was really surprised how long they lived. I guess I just took such good care of them. I named them Max and Terry. And one of them was darker and one of them was lighter, so that's how I told them apart. Wanted a dog. Drama about my crush. This is a code that I made for my friend and I to use together. And it was about our crushes. So there was a visual version and then like a keyword version if we wanted to talk about it or send an email where we couldn't include these, symbols. And she actually humored me, and we used this code several times. I have very good memories of being in the backseat of a car while we were carpooling somewhere, drawing little symbols to each other to talk about, anything exciting that had recently happened with her crushes, which couldn't have been that much because, again, we were homeschooled, and most of these interactions took place in the context of a church. And, then it turned out that my crush used to like me, but he didn't like me anymore. He liked someone else. Alas. I was talking about a trip to Ocean City that we took, and I was writing about my crush, just so much writing about my crush, it was just too much to really show all of that just ridiculousness. It would have bored you all to tears. Other things I talked about was my crush some more. I think we're getting a theme here. So today I'm talking about band, and as you know, I was in a band and an orchestra and all these different instruments, playing the clarinet for much of my childhood and high school life, which to me doesn't feel like childhood, even though technically I was under 18 for most of it. What do you guys think? Is high school part of a childhood? Doesn't sound right to me. Anyway, there was a yellow jacket buzzing around, and then there was this mystery. And this mystery still keeps me awake to this day. I still wonder about this. was a boy that I played clarinet next to who was much better than I was 12 years old, 12-year-old boy. And he kept getting up in the middle of rehearsal like every 5 minutes, and he left the room. Where was he going? Well, at the end, the band director came up to him and asked him why he'd been leaving. He said, the boy said, in a funny fake voice that let me know for sure that he was lying, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." And he denied it, just like that. I can still hear the voice he said that in. He was definitely lying. Where was he going? I wonder about this to this very day. This was a band practice full of mostly homeschooled kids, mostly evangelical Christian homeschooled kids. And it took place in a church. Was he going to the bathroom to do drugs? That was my first thought. Very strange. Oh, also, this is when the swine flu was going around. Do you guys remember the swine flu? Good grief. If we could just have one, nice thing without a disease looming around the next corner, that'd be great. That'd be a 10 out of 10 for me. You'll never guess. It is all about my crush. I wrote a song about him that was a parody of a Taylor Swift song, Hey Steven, but with his name. It was about a story I was writing about my magical powers. I think I mentioned in my last journal that I had completely convinced myself that I had magical powers, so I was writing a story about it. And I shared it with my friend, and it says, "My friend asked me where I got the idea. I shrugged because I wasn't about to tell her the truth, that I too have great power within and wanted an outlet for these feelings. Talking about how I want to be famous one day, not getting along with my family. I didn't like watching the Polar Express for Christmas movie either. That was another grievance that I had that I think you guys should know about." This is another spread that I did. This is some artwork I had. But this actually brings to mind a really important issue that I think I should address that's been on my heart for many years. When you see paintings or drawings of angels, they always have arms and wings. And I think that is really, we need more representation for angels who have wings instead of arms, you know? Where are these? Okay, so I'm trying to do my best here. I'm trying to help out this cause. But I can't do it alone, so if you guys could start, maybe pitching in a bit, not to call anybody out, but maybe some people should be drawing some more angels with wings instead of arms and talking about it. Because as far as I know, I haven't heard anybody else talk about this pressing issue, and I think someone should. Okay? Alright. I don't know if you guys knew, but I wanted a dog. I may have mentioned this, that I wanted a dog. So here's me with the dog. Honestly, that's exactly how I look. No neck, hunched, raised shoulders, no legs, and just popcorn on the ends of my arms. Oh, I was really hungry all the time. And then I started talking about the MP3 player that I was listening to. I still have it around here somewhere, and I had all my Matchbox 20 music on there. And you can start bullying me now because Matchbox 20 was my favorite band in middle school. And it's still my favorite band to this day. I was learning the lyrics by heart. They'll awaken me from cryosleep in the year 3042. And I will still know the lyrics to all of the Matchbox 20 songs. Won't remember my own name, but I'll remember those lyrics. And this is the Ball comic that appeared in color. So that's, the technology got there that we could actually have colored drawings in the journal. It's pretty cool. So, dropped a stamp down the drain at the hotel. I was using rubber stamp letters that I had. I stuck my hand down the drain. There was a garbage disposal and I was so scared, but I got it back. And it was good because it was the N, but I had lost the U or the N, so I was using both as the same thing. There were some unidentified freaky objects in the sink, UFOs. And then I was like, oh, I'm so grateful to God that I got that stamp out, so I wrote this Bible verse in. I don't know what this is about. His name is Yah. I think I was trying to do the YHWH thing. Alright, so we're going to the Midwest, and I was bored, and I was hungry. And we went to Cracker Barrel, and I got to eat all this good stuff. I talked about my several requirements for sleeping. Number 1, it must be absolutely dark, except for rooms being occupied by other people. Number 2, there can be no noise whatsoever, except, of course, for a distant television or passing cars. Number 3, my hair cannot be underneath my cheek, especially not if it is wet. Number 4, my pillows must be flat against the bed. Number 5, my hair must be down. Number 6, my pajamas cannot be bunched up, nor can my sheets. Number 7, my bed must be clear. And number 8, there cannot be anything lumpy underneath any part of me. Number 9, no more than 2 stuffed animals. Number 10, I must be on my left side facing a wall helps. Number 11, I must be completely wrapped up in my covers. Number 12, nothing can be wiggling around in my bed, except of course for me. Number 13, nothing can be scuttling across the floor. Number 14, nothing can be buzzing around the room. So then the weather was bad, and I talked about that. Oh, this is a beautiful poem. All is gray, all is bleak. Haven't seen sunlight in a week. Wish I were dead. Wish I were alive. Wish something were different. I need variation to survive. Then I was like, oh, it's almost Christmas. It was Christmas time. We were visiting relatives. And why is our car so bleak? We should decorate it. There should be a Christmas tree in the back seat. There should be wreaths around the tires. There should be lights everywhere and a big bow on top. And we should have the lights on in the car. That would be nice. But it was too dark. And then we were at my grandparents' house. And these were the gifts that I wanted to give my family. I wanted to give my sister a Lego train set. I'm going to give my dad an iPhone, my mom a Roomba. My mom just got a Roomba this year. Just this year she got a Roomba. She's wanted one her whole life. I'm so glad she finally has it. And then I got myself a puppy. And then I wrote some extra details, drew all the pictures of the things. My grandparents' cat had mittens like that. Super cute. Oh my gosh. Cat paws just kill me. And then my grandpa took me to the grocery store just to look at Pickle's pig's feet. I mentioned my grandpa before. This is the same grandpa that wanted to know about whether we wanted to live 100 years in the future or 100 years in the past, and about little green aliens. Same sort of weird bonding activity that we did. He wanted me to go look at Pickled pig's feet. So this next section is something I see people on the internet making a lot of money off of to this very day, which is personality tests and assessments. I decided to group people into 4 categories: spirit, intelligent, strength, and apathetic. And to sum it up, spiritual people are very emotional, creative. They would be empaths, and sensitive people is the words that we use now. This is a nerd, this is a jock, and this is somebody who gets along with everybody. And then I wrote some rules about how they interacted with each other that nobody needs to hear about. And this is my disco sun. I used to draw suns like this for some reason, and the different sections would have different designs on them. Apolo Ohno was in the Winter Olympics that year. My family was very excited about him. I dedicated my journal to misspelling his name repeatedly. And, yeah, that's it. So anyway, I wrote some poems. Oh, I guess he did win. Hold on. When he won. Yes, he won. Oh, and they got disqualified. So this is me writing about nightmares, sleepwalking. I used to sleepwalk a lot then and say nonsense. Orchestra. Funny stuff that happened in orchestra. And then I was just so stressed from all the stuff I was doing. I was, I learned a lot of great stuff. I was in a lot of classes when I was younger. I don't know. I was really stressed. I don't think it's that normal to be stressed out by school in middle school, and I was always stressed out. But this particular time I was so stressed, I thought I was going to lose it. I was not getting along with people. It made me irritable with people because I just hated everyone because I was so stressed. You know how it is. Nobody wrongs you, but you just, every time you see somebody, you're just like, oh, I just want to, every person I come into contact with, I want to scream at and push to the ground. Like, I needed an outlet, so I was writing here to try to avoid doing something stupid like that. CFC speeches that I had to do. This was a Communication for Christ. It was like a Toastmasters for children to learn to speak better. And the idea is that if you can articulate your ideas and, use rhetoric in an intelligent way, then you're going to be able to advocate for Jesus better. But it got to the point where I'd be doing like 3 or 4 big speeches, and you have to write them, you have to research them, you have to memorize them, you have to get them approved. There were all this red tape you had to do. It was a great class. I learned so much from it, but it was really stressful, so I had a lot to do. And then I remember I got the work done, and I felt a lot better because I knew where I was going to go. I didn't finish the speeches, but I at least knew what I was going to write about for them, and that was like half the battle. So I wrote, I feel separated and distanced from the rest of my family, and I don't know what I'm going to do about my speeches. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm feeling much, much better, probably because I have most of my work done and my CFC speeches figured out. And this is one of the first times I learned that the biggest part of any project is figuring out a plan and knowing what the subject is going to be, and then once you have the plan, you just have to execute the steps. Okay, so then I wrote this hyperbolic account of what my weekly schedule looked like. Monday morning, try to decide where to move and what to change my name to while my classmate humiliates me in Latin class. So I was in this online Latin class, and it was met twice a week online, and one of the days per week I would habitually go over to my friend's house, and he and I would share the same account for some reason, and he would type and I would watch, and that wasn't a good idea because it's harder to participate in class when only one person is typing, and it wasn't necessary because I had a separate account. I don't know why we did that, but he used to like mess with me and try to humiliate me by like saying stuff that I would never say, and yeah, I was always like, oh, it was so annoying, but I had to deal with it because it was his house. It wasn't that bad. I just small little bit of humor there. Monday afternoon, deliver a speech about rabbits that I have thrown together Sunday at 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. I'm extremely nervous. Smoky Blue, that was my rabbit, who was in my care, materializes and knocks over my expository board. It's like a board that shows what you're talking about that we had to make for these speeches, which promptly falls apart. A mad chase ensues. Once the rabbit is solidly contained, the leader informs me that my time is up, and not one hand moves when another leader asks, "What did she do well?" The positive feedback. Monday night, 6 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Homework. To clarify, again, this is hyperbolic. I did not stay up even to midnight in middle school. That didn't start until high school. Tuesday morning, I realized I am supposed to have my 23.5-page sonata memorized for a competition next week, as for piano class. Early Tuesday afternoon. My teacher preps us for a chemistry test, and here's what she would say. It'll be easy. It's only 40 pages long, and they're not even double-sided. Of course, I do have 3 pages of extra questions, but they're not hard. All you need to be able to do is recite the book from memory, but you already can do that. We've been studying the book for a whole week. This teacher was so funny. I always felt like her classes were so hard. She was like the tough one. Like, oh, her classes are so hard. They're impossible. I'll never be able to do it. And she was always so encouraging. Like, oh, it's not that bad. You'll be able to do it. You can do it. It's fine. And I always felt like, oh, it's not fine. This is impossible. I don't even think I can do it. But, with my dad's help and, some hard work on my part and a decent amount of encouragement from this teacher, I did manage to make it through that class and do well and learn chemistry. And I actually have her to thank for pretty much every bit of useful knowledge that I have to this day. Later Tuesday afternoon, we had 2 classes in a row. So the first one was the chemistry class, and we had a logic class. So my teacher assigns logic homework. She hands us each 3 books, 2 each about the size of the Webster's Unabridged Dictionary, the third about the size of both of the first 2 combined. She instructs us to memorize the first 2, containing the secondary and tertiary rules of replacement respectively, and to complete the third, a book of formal proofs. Tuesday evening, break a reed in wind ensemble and borrow one from this person. Get lost on the way to orchestra sectionals. When I finally get there, I realize I left my clarinet back in band room. Spill grape juice on my and 3 other people's white shirts during break. They'd give us a snack during break. 11:30 Tuesday evening to 7:30 Wednesday morning. Homework. 8 Wednesday morning. Rushed writing class. Forget paper and I'm assigned a deductive essay on quantum mechanics with source citations for every word I use that's in the dictionary. What's she trying to do? Make us start speaking gibberish? I hated citing sources, and I still do. It takes forever, and there's got to be a better way in 2021 that doesn't involve painstakingly writing out the most tedious details about a source. Please, why do we have to do this? Technology. Someone come up with something. I'm not smart enough. Someone else needs to do it. It's ridiculous. Wednesday afternoon to 3 o'clock. Thursday morning, homework. Thursday morning, computer problems. Show up at Latin. That was the second day of my Latin class. Show up at Latin for the last half of Pictionary, which is the game we played at the end. And that did happen to me a few times. Thursday afternoon, homework. Thursday evening. Nearly get a concussion when one of the big high school boys from my youth group, which is what I did on Thursday evenings, slammed into me while we're playing rugby at youth group. We did not play rugby at youth group, but we did play some games that were probably a lot more dangerous than they actually should have been. I was watching the first Harry Potter movie the other day, and I was realizing, Hogwarts is really dangerous. It reminds me of, church youth group, all the crazy stuff we did that kids should not have been doing. I don't know, man. It's funny. I don't think anyone had bad intentions of us being careless. It was just we did a lot of things, and a lot of them were pretty dangerous. It's funny. We all used to laugh about it, and everybody lived, and I think that might be proof that God does exist. If nothing else convinces you, nobody at my youth group should be alive with the stuff we got up to. I mean, I stepped on a rusty nail and went clean up into my foot. That shouldn't be part of youth group. Why was there a rusty nail at youth group? What was that about? Why I was in 6th grade. Let's calm down with the rusty nails. That was the least problem. And people broke collarbones. People broke arms. I mean, there was one kid he was out in the freezing cold one winter. We were at camp, and he wandered out and like broke his arm and like fell into a puddle in like freezing weather, and luckily someone found him. Oh, and I remember another time we would ride up in the van and this kid like rolled in front of the moving van outside of it, like rolled into it. And it was just crazy. I was like, how did we not run this guy over? And even like our youth pastor, who was like pretty chill and used to seeing anything at this point because he dealt with literally everything. Nothing had phased this guy. Even he was like kind of nervous. Like, could you please not lay down in front of a multi-ton van? Someone's gonna get killed. How no people would ride around on the front of the van up like a steep mountain. Like, I don't even know, man, how anyone lived. I'm just saying, if you're an atheist, just consider this. I mean, statistically, nobody should be alive from the youth group. That's just science, okay? So maybe there is a supernatural force at play. Friday afternoon, do get a concussion at PE from a soccer ball. Oh, I hated playing soccer. It was terrifying. It was just, the ball's always flying around right at head level. Oh, that's fun. You can just bop it with your head. No, I don't want to do any of that. If you would like to voluntarily hit a soccer ball with your head, be my guest. I just tried to avoid it. I didn't like soccer. I don't like sports, and I'm not ashamed of that. I am exactly like the other girls, except for the ones that like to play sports. I'm not like them. They're better than me. Saturday prior to clarinet lesson, homework. Yes, I took private clarinet lessons. Saturday afternoon, blow more air. Oh my gosh. My teacher would always tell me to blow more air. I could never blow enough air for her. I feel so bad for her. She tried so hard to bring out the best of me, and I practiced like crazy. I did everything she said. By this age, I was pretty meticulous and thorough with my instrument practicing, and with piano it always paid off, but with clarinet, I don't know if I didn't know what she wanted me to do, if I didn't understand, or if I was just physically failing to replicate the motions and mechanics of what I was supposed to be doing, but I just could not get a sound out of that instrument anywhere near people my age. It was embarrassing. And my poor parents, they did everything. They paid for all the lessons, they paid for all the band. My dad participated in the band. They bought my reeds, they bought my nice clarinet. I mean, everything they could possibly do to help me in this dream, and everything I could do to help myself in the dream, and everybody around me was trying to bolster me up, and my classmates, who were much better than me, were always very encouraging, but it was just one of those things I just genuinely was not good at. And it wasn't a lack of work, it was just a lack of talent. Genuinely a lack of talent. And I don't like to attribute many things to a lack of talent, because I think that discourages people from working hard, which is usually the key to success. But when I tell you I was working hard, I mean it. I was working very hard at that. I really gave it my all, and it just wasn't happening. It's too bad. And I'm not to say that I was terrible. There were people who were worse than me, but for the amount that I was practicing, I should have been a lot better. Sunday morning, fall asleep during sermon, later found out I had been snoring loudly. Didn't fall asleep during Sunday school or church in middle school, that's hyperbole, but in high school I did, and that's a whole other conversation. It isn't really relevant to the scope of this journal. Sunday afternoon, homework. Sunday evening, pass out during singing from heat stroke and lack of oxygen, because we had youth group on Sunday evening, and we would all gather into this tiny room. After playing an intensive outdoor activity in the summer sun, we would all gather into this room, and we had boys, pubescent boys and high school boys, and all the poor girls stuffed into this room, and the sweat smell and the heat, and it was ridiculous. It should not have been. It was just, we would just sing songs, and it just smelled so bad. It was such a bad smell. Repeat, because it starts back over on Monday. All right. Dear Snoopy, okay, that was an exaggeration. But this morning, my classmate did humiliate me in Latin class, and I did find out there are more rules of inference and replacement. Seriously. So in this section, I basically talked about how I felt like I didn't have time to express my emotions or handle them, and I was always repressing emotions because I was always on my way to some other activity, or I always had something else I was supposed to be doing. I really just wanted a minute to like breathe and like, you know, have a good cry, have a good laugh. That wasn't possible, and it was really frustrating. Anyway, talking about how famous I'm going to be, how important my journal is going to be. Oh, the opposite of that, actually. Nobody cares. And they didn't, so that's good. Then these people visited that were friends of the family. And then I wrote a bunch in Latin. So that's kind of cringy. Then I wrote a poem about my neighbor's dog who was dying, which was super cringy. Please don't read that. And then, this is great. There are both advantages and disadvantages to being homeschooled, Snoopy. One advantage is being able to sleep in later than kids who go to school can. One disadvantage is having to live with your algebra teacher. Then I was talking about more speeches I was doing for my speech class, blah, blah, blah. We were going to competition. I was in a couple different debate groups during the course of my middle school career. I was in a debate group through the speech group, the Christian speech group, and I was in debate as part of that, and I was in debate as part of the logic class I was taking. So I'm talking about the speech group debate in this case. And one of the things that was a little frustrating about the speech group was that while there were two boys my age who were friends and around the same age and could partner up for things like debates, there were no girls my age who I could partner up with for debates. Now, there was no ban on having a girl and a boy debate together, but the two boys, the teams were supposed to be teams of two. That was the most advantageous way to team up. So the two boys just went with each other. And so that left me with nobody, because they were not to say that I didn't have any female friends, I definitely did, but they just weren't around my age or in my age group or involved with that debate group. So I ended up with two people who really didn't enjoy debating, who were kind of there because they had to be there, and it was a team of three, which made it harder because there was less time for each of us to talk. So that put us at less of an advantage as well, and we also didn't meet up very much because while these two boys had parents who were close friends, my parents were not close friends with these girls' parents, so we barely met up at all. So all that set us up for disaster. And the other team, who I was very competitive with these two boys, but super competitive with them, and they always beat us because they had a lot more going for them than we did. I wasn't bad at debating, but I just didn't have a chance to really be as strong as I could have been. I mean, I did my best and I tried to help the team, but not everybody's always at the same level or has the same level of enthusiasm. They were both pretty shy, and it's just not a good setup for a debate, and that was too bad. Writing more about my crush. Then, here's a nice memory from youth group. I've shared some pros and cons about my youth group. Here's a nice one. We were playing a game of ultimate frisbee, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's like soccer, but with a frisbee, you just try to throw it to the other person's goal. And we were playing that, and one of the pastors was really trying to encourage me, and he let me have an important role in our team, which was really sweet. A lot of times, younger girls like myself who did try to play would often get overlooked because the boys would just want to play mostly with each other. This pastor sort of forced me to be included, which I really appreciated. It was really fun. I liked being active in those games. More memories of my crush. Oh dear. I said something embarrassing, or I was witness someone say something embarrassing to my crush, and then I blamed myself for it, and the next 8 pages are about that. I hate myself. Oh my gosh. Some of this stuff is so bad. Oh, my Herpstaplant broke. You know what a Herpstaplant is? That's like a metal piece that connects your jaw together to bring your underbite forward. Like this. And mine broke 1,000 times. I've already mentioned this before. Then we went to a convention with the speech group, which was like a big statewide competition. And I didn't have anyone to debate with because the other two girls from my other debate team didn't want to go to this competition. So I was all alone and I didn't get to debate. And then this older girl from high school who had won debate competitions actually at the last minute, within an hour or two before we would have to debate, agreed to debate with me, last minute, and throw it together. And at that point, even though she was really competent, I was not at the level where I could throw together a competent debate in under an hour. And guess who we debated? Those same two boys, and they destroyed us with facts and logic because I sucked. She probably could have defeated them single-handedly, but because they were a lot younger, they're my age, they're younger than her, but with me dragging her down, she didn't have a chance. So, too bad. I was really frustrated. And my Herpstoplants is bothering me again. I'm talking about my dreams. Nothing particularly interesting, except for that kitten comes up. My crush was in that dream too. And I felt not getting along with my family. This says, Dear Snoopy, from April 17th, 2010. Dear Snoopy, I am annoyed. I wish I were outside right now. Same. Physical fitness awards. A lot of this I skip because it's very boring or very personal. I used to do this thing where I would write about my crush with a code name, but then sometimes I would refer to his actual name too for other things to try to throw people who might be reading off my trail as to who it was. So that was really smart. Then I was having drama with my friends that didn't even exist. I was just projecting it onto people. And then I had drama about my crush. And he even spoke to me in class. Though to be honest, I can't remember what he said. There may yet be hope. Yeah, if I can't remember what he said, did I even like him that much? Then I wrote all these poems talking about how much I wanted a dog, and then more embarrassing stuff with my crush, being really obvious about it, and then, oh, did he see? Did he notice? I suck at algebra, and I have no idea why. I was so sure I would do better today. I remembered every single thing my dad told me. He was my algebra teacher, and I applied it, and I still got a C. C for catastrophic. And then I just felt really bad about it, and I had to do more going over the exam, and I was just feeling really bad about myself, and then my dad encouraged me and told me that, no, you're not an idiot. Then I was more stuff with my crush, more stuff about how I want a dog. Do you see why I'm skipping this? Then I felt like I'm going to get a dog. It was a good sign. I wrote a song about how much I wanted a dog, and I was trying to convince my parents. Yes, I wrote a song about convincing my parents to let me get a dog. And the sad thing is, I remember the tune. I could sing it for you right here and right now. But you know what? This video is probably like 8 hours long by now, so I'm going to spare you that disastrous time. I wrote down some daydream about a dog that I had. I like to write down my daydreams. I still do that sometimes. Today, I have been very responsible and mature, especially pet-wise. Okay, I did dump the gravel in the wrong sink while cleaning out the frog's tank. That was a huge deal. I dumped my frog gravel into the sink and it broke our garbage disposal, and my parents were cursing my name because I had to replace the garbage disposal. It was horrible. So I was really trying to like show that I could take care of pets, but I really sabotaged myself. I think that was the nail in the dog coffin. When I did that, there was no hope after that. Oh, that, and I also tripped over the rabbit fence that my dad fixed for my rabbit. So rabbit fencing is a particular material, and my dad stapled it together so it would stand upright, but if you trip over it, then it gets bent and the rabbit can get out. And I tripped over it again and broke it again. So not only did I make one mistake with the frogs, I made another mistake with the rabbits. So I don't think I was being as responsible and mature as I thought I was. So these couple of entries really were not good for me getting a dog. Even though I managed to mostly fix it, it still will never look quite the same again. If we ever do get a dog, it sure will be a miracle. My plan seems to have backfired, but I'm not giving it up yet. After all, I've only been at it for one day. Silly. Then I compared myself to a biblical character, because, of course, me wanting a dog is the same as the prophet Elijah wanting a miracle as well. So it's the same thing, really. So I wrote about that. Still no news for the dog blog. Yeah, it wasn't good. And oh my gosh, so much stuff about God in here. It was really weird how that like pops up in strange places. Oh dear. So I guess when I put the gravel in the wrong sink, I didn't realize then. So what date was that? That was on the 6th. So on the 8th, I have a new entry that says, "Dear Snoopy, the gravel from when I cleaned the frog tank out went down the drain of the kitchen sink and broke it. I am doomed never to have a real pet." So yeah, kind of shot myself in the foot there with messing literally everything pet related up in my life. This is the next interesting visual spread. And for this one, I actually have a visual representation of how I was feeling. So that should tell you something. And then this was the dog that I wanted to adopt. I found her on a website of dogs for adoption in my area. Her name was Lexie. I was obsessed with Lexie. I really wanted this dog. I wanted a big, friendly dog, and I loved her. So I wanted to adopt her. So it sounded like my parents might actually be thinking about really letting me get a dog, because they were saying some things. It sounded like they were really considering it, but eventually they decided against it, probably because my mom realized she was going to ultimately be the one taking care of the dog, because let's be real, nobody else was going to do anything if I lost interest, and they did have to remind me to take care of my rabbit. So then I wrote about some stuff, and my friend, who also sort of a classmate, she was a bit younger than me, but she went to Michael's with us for some reason and picked out the journal that was going to follow this one. So I wrote a letter to the dog that I wanted to adopt, which was Lexie, and the reason that I skipped this was that I literally wrote about this dog Lexie for like 5 pages. And I can't believe I accidentally paperclipped this. I really wanted to show you that in case you wondered whether or not I wanted to adopt this dog named Lexie. Is there a question now? Is there a question as everything falls out of the back? Alright, in here I was talking about the pros and cons of the next journal because I was almost finishing up this one, so I was getting excited about the next one. I clipped over this stuff because the dog that I wanted to adopt, the one named Lexie, I might have mentioned her once or twice so far. That's a really weird name for a dog, isn't it? Somebody else adopted her and she went off the website, and I was just beside myself. I was just really upset. And some of the other stuff that I may or may not have already mentioned about not feeling like I had any space to express my emotions or process them because I was too busy. I wrote a poem about that. There is no place, there is no time to cry these tears I need to cry. There is no open space to shout to cast the evil spirits out. So I rotted and rotted away inside, and nobody gave a hoot when I died. In this section, I had just finished writing a song, repeat chorus, you can see. Didn't feel like sharing that cringe. And then I had a whole cat calendar that I felt like I needed to staple in here. And then I have another video about how I end my journal, so I've covered this a little bit, but I have these two My Stuff envelopes, a big one and a small one, and a lot of stuff in here. Don't really feel like pulling it out since you've seen a lot of it already in that video. There's a chart about all the people that liked each other or might like each other, and here I have a copyright statement. Chart created March 31st, 2010. All rights reserved. Copyright 2010, Sarah Bullard. All opinions expressed here are Sarah's opinions alone. Any truth, values, or opinions similar to those of others are purely coincidental. Adding to, reproducing, sharing, or looking at this chart is punishable by loss of friendship. Sarah E. Bullard assumes no responsibility for any information on this chart. This chart has no guarantee or warranty of truth. If you are on this chart, punishment for adding to, reproducing, sharing, or looking at this chart is increased. I don't know what you can increase from lack of friendship. Maybe humiliation for being in a chart. It's possible. So that's the journal, my friends. That is it. And thank you for joining me here on this journal flip through. I really appreciate you being here, for staying all the way through. Again, if you have suggestions as to how I can make these journal flip throughs more engaging, drop them down in the comments. I think I did a better job with the post-it notes this time, and with keeping the extra censored parts a little bit more interesting this time. Let me know how your journaling practices developed over time, if it's similar, if it's different, if you have a channel where you do flip throughs. I would love to see them, so always let me know. I follow a lot of you guys already, but if there's somebody I missed, you are someone I want to hear from. Talk to you later, guys. Bye!